As the 2026 Grammy Awards approach, the atmosphere in Los Angeles is thick with a tension we haven't seen in decades. While the public remains convinced that Jordan is a lock for a historic sweep, whispers from within the Recording Academy suggest a much more alarming story. As a reporter covering this cultural upheaval, I have witnessed a significant shift in the narrative over the last few weeks. What initially looked like a guaranteed victory for the 20-year-old independent artist is now being threatened by high-level industry roadblocks. These barriers are largely invisible to the average fan, but represent a massive coordinated effort to protect the status. The countdown to the ceremony has begun, and the Barefoot Queen may be walking into a sophisticated trap. But behind the standing ovations, a massive question remains. Is the music industry actually ready to let an independent rebel take the crown? Our investigative team looked into the mechanical side of the awards, and the primary hurdle is her status as a label-less creator. When walked away from her major contract in late 2024, she lost more than just a paycheck. She lost the massive lobbying machine that typically secures a Grammy win. Major labels spend tens of millions on for your consideration campaigns, hosting private events to influence the thousands of voters who decide the winners. Without a corporate titan pushing her name, is essentially fighting a billion-dollar marketing war with a grassroots budget. This independence is her greatest strength with her global, but it remains a structural liability in a room full of industry insiders. While she stayed true to her artistic vision, her corporate opponents were busy consolidating their influence. This lack of institutional backing has created a vacuum that her rivals are now moving to fill with their own narratives. The controversy regarding her potential loss also stems from a moment of perceived unreliability that the industry has not forgotten. In early 2025, when from Norway's Grand, it created a rift that opponents are now weaponizing against her Grammy campaign. Even though security threats and personal safety were the documented reasons for her media blackout, a narrative was quietly pushed that she was difficult to work with for a global tour. Critics within the older voting bloc are using these old rumors to argue that a sweep should go to a safer artist who follows the corporate script. This smear campaign has been subtle but highly effective among the conservative members of the Academy. But the character assassination was only the beginning of a much larger coordinated effort to protect the traditional industry model. As we dig deeper into the 2026 contenders, it is clear that the major label titans are forming a blockade to protect their financial interests. From the biggest labels in the world are currently receiving massive administrative pushes to ensure they do not lose their market share to an independent outsider. These labels see in Jordan's sweep as an existential threat to their entire business model. If an artist can win the industry's highest honors without a major contract, the necessity of the label system itself is called into question. This has turned the 2026 Grammys into a survival moment for the corporate machine, where they are voting for their own relevance. This hidden war for control is happening in the shadows of the red carpet, and the stakes have never been higher for the future of art. Further complicating her path is a sudden and mysterious change in the Recording Academy's 2026 voting criteria. New rules reportedly place significantly more weight on commercial infrastructure and global logistics, areas where major label-backed artists have a structural advantage. Some industry insiders speculate these changes were designed specifically to favor commercially backed pop stars over independent phenomena. If the Barefoot Queen does not fit the new corporate mold the Academy is attempting to build, she could be sidelined despite having the most critically acclaimed music of the year. This rule shift has sent shockwaves through the independent community, leading many to wonder if the system is being adjusted in real time. But even as the rules were being rewritten, a new wave of personal accusations began to hit the industry trade papers. The narrative took a darker turn recently when fresh accusations surfaced attempting to brand as a calculated industry plan. These claims suggest that her independent rise was secretly funded by shadow investors, and that her connection to mentors like Gad was a manufactured corporate play. While our reporting found no evidence of this, showing her growth was almost entirely organic, the rumor has successfully planted a seed of doubt among the older Grammy voters. The plant label is a toxic one in 2026, and it is being used to strip away the authentic image that made her so popular. By attacking her integrity, her rivals are attempting to make a vote for her feel like a vote for a deception. This psychological warfare is proving to be a highly effective tool in the final, critical weeks of the balloting process. Our investigation also highlighted the sheer disparity in ballot visibility between independent and major artists. While relies on her viral presence, her competitors have access to round-the-clock PR teams who personally contact Academy members. In 2026, the cost of a successful Grammy campaign has reached record highs, making it nearly impossible for an independent artist to compete on a level playing field. Reports have surfaced that some voters have been heavily incentivized by major labels to prioritize artists with long-term touring contracts. This financial pressure creates an environment where merit is often overshadowed by the potential for future profit. Refusal to participate in this pay-to-play system may ultimately be what costs her the trophy. However, there is one factor that even the major labels cannot control: the power of the legacy endorsement. One of the few things keeping her campaign alive is the enduring legacy of the late Quincy Jones, who famously endorsed her as a once-in-a-generation talent. This golden ticket has forced the Academy's traditionalists to remain cautious in their opposition. However, rumors have emerged that some voters are now trying to decouple her current sound from the jazz-heavy style Quincy originally praised. They argue that her secret trilogy is too experimental for a mainstream sweep, attempting to pigeonhole her into a niche category rather than the Big Four. This tactical move is designed to give her a minor win while keeping the major trophies within the corporate family. This battle over her musical identity is a classic example of how the industry tries to contain what it cannot own. The 2026 voting bloc is currently described as being in a state of total civil war. On one side, the progressive voters see as a necessary evolution for an institution struggling with declining relevance. On the other, the traditionalist gatekeepers fear that an independent sweep would destroy the prestige of the award. Investigative reports suggest that heated debates have broken out during committee meetings regarding the optics of an independent win. If the Academy chooses the corporate favorite, they risk a massive public backlash and a total loss of credibility with younger audiences. If they choose, they risk alienating the labels that provide the show's star power. With the voters split down the middle, the final outcome will likely be decided by a very small margin of elite voices. As we wrap up our report on the eve of the 2026 Grammys, the outlook is far more uncertain than anyone expected. Jordan has the talent, the fan loyalty, and the cultural impact, but she is fighting a system that was never designed for an outsider to win. If she loses tonight, it will not be because the music was lacking. It will be because the machine was too strong to break. Whether she takes home the trophy or becomes the victim of a historic robbery, her journey has already exposed the deep cracks in the industry's foundation. We will be watching with bated breath as the first envelope is opened to see if the Academy chooses profit over soul. The world is watching. Will the system finally allow a queen to be crowned, or will they protect the gates one last time?